What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Talkin Sports with Jake. Hope we're all doing well. So let's jump right in. All right, we're gonna go over the NHL trade line. I know it was at this point was almost 2 weeks ago, but haven't had a chance to, do his pocket as much as I've wanted to the last week and a half or so. So let's go over it. So first big move was Vegas makes a big move. They get Thomas Hertl from the San Jose Sharks. So they get him. They get two thirds, one in 2025, one in 2027. In return, they send David Entrim in the first round pick in 2025. Hertl's a very good player. I'm gonna give you the stats as of the trade. He had 15 goals, 19 assists, 34 points as of the trade. Really good player. He's really good. Top six forward in Vegas. Adds another big piece. I thought even last year, that was like the one knock on them was they could use one more goal scorer. They were still good offensively, but they're just so good defensively. The goaltending stepped up despite the injuries. They were able to win the Stanley Cup. They have an already really good team. Of course, the defending champs, and another nice piece with Thomas Hertl. Obviously, Vegas, they love going all in. They don't really care about your prospects and their draft picks. So this is what they always do. And look at that, and they make another big move. So the Sharks send Hertl away. So Devils and Sharks make a move. Devils they did a goalie swap. So the Sharks send Capo Kakinen to the New Jersey Devils. In return, they get Vitek Vanecek and a 7th round pick in 2025. Both these guys haven't had great years. Vanecek this year, before heading to San Jose, had a 3.18 GAA and an 8.90 save percentage. He's had a really, really bad year. He's battled some injuries, and then he was in the minors at one point. He's not had a good year. When he came up in Washington a bunch of years ago, he looked like he could be pretty good, but overall has not been a great player. Kakinen was awful in San Jose. A 3.8 GAA, 8.95 save percentage. Obviously, was only 6.20 and 3. The Sharks are very, very bad. Win-loss record for goals don't look out too much. A lot of times it depends on how good your team is. You could have a mediocre goalie, but leading the league in wins because their team's really good. Also have an elite goalie, having a crappy record because their team's really bad. He was got another young guy when he came up we thought could be pretty good. Hasn't really worked out. That defense in San Jose is also pitiful. It's a little better in New Jersey. Devils defense is a little to be desired. They got some guys out. Dougie Hamilton missed a lot of time this year. Obviously, the goaltending has suffered because of the injuries to the defense, and just the goals they have are great. Vanecek isn't great. Akira, what's his name? Akira, whatever his name is. The guy who played in the first round for the most part against the Raiders last year and played well. He hasn't been able to pick up where he left off last year. He's not been great. Nico Dawes isn't anything special, obviously. He's been their starter most of the year. He came in as their third string. But he's played a little better for the Devils, but that was a bit of a weird swap. On paper, Vanecek's a little bit better. Both of them are at best serviceable backups, if you ask me. In fact, they probably belong in the AHL. I guess Kakinen might be a little younger, maybe. But the Devils made another trade. They got Jake Allen from Montreal. It'll be a conditional 3rd round pick that could become a second. This one didn't make a lot of sense. So the Devils, they're fading out of the race. Obviously, they fired the coach, and Lindy Ruff, he got fired. Thomas Jobber's probably next, if you ask me. So you send Vanecek out to get Kakinen. So you get another struggling goalie, but who's a little bit younger. Now you can evaluate if you're kind of falling out of the race. Now you make a move for a veteran, Jake Allen, who hasn't been good in a few years. And he gave up a 3rd round pick that could become a second if he plays enough games. Allen's here, coming in Montreal, 3.65 GAA and 8.92 save percentage. He's been awful. Again, the defense in Montreal was horrible. It's terrible. So could he be a little better in New Jersey? Probably, I guess. But the dude hasn't been good in a few years. He's been good since he was on St. Louis. So it was like 3-4 years ago. So that one didn't make a lot of sense. Devils said, "Oh, okay, we're selling. They trade a couple of pieces. And then, but Akira Schmitz is the goalie name I can think of. That I didn't really get that one at all. So the Rangers, they pick up Jack Roslovic from Columbus. In return, they send a 4th round pick if they will come in third if the Rangers reach the Stanley Cup Finals. So this is a pretty good move. Well, the Rangers they shot for the stars of the deadline, didn't really come up with the guys they wanted. They went after Jay Gunsel in Pittsburgh, didn't get him. Tried to bring back Frank Petrano, a guy they picked up at the trade deadline for rental and played well 2 years ago. So in Anaheim, that deal, they couldn't get that deal done. And Henrique tried to make that deal. They were beat to the punch there as well. I don't mind Ross Levesque as a Ranger fan. He had 6 goals, 17 assists, 23 points in Columbus. Who's a guy a couple of years ago was emerging as a really good player. Injuries and inconsistency have kind of held him back, but he's still young. They gave up a 4th-round pick. They could become a 3rd-round pick if they reach the Cup final. They'll give up a whole lot. I don't mind it. They need some forward depth, which is something they took care of. I would have minded one more really good goal scorer as a fan, but they have a great team. They're very good. They're very good offense. They're very good on both sides of the puck. Obviously, they have one of the best goalies in the league in Igor Shesterkin. And PLL overall's done a pretty good job coaching the team. I don't mind that move. And then the Devils continue to sell. They send veteran defenseman Kyle Miller to Winnipeg. In return, Winnipeg sends a 4th-round pick in 2026. Look, Kyle Miller, he's a pending free agent. He's a solid 4th or 5th defenseman. He's a pending free agent. He's due almost $2 million the rest of the year. They were not going to get a lot for him. Now, and Winnipeg picks up a solid defenseman. Something I needed. I think that's a solid move for Winnipeg Jets. Toronto adds Duar from the Minnesota Wild. Connor Duar heads to Toronto. He's going to be a restricted free agent after the season. Minnesota's falling out of the race. A 26 4th-round pick goes the other way, goes to Minnesota. I think this is look, it's a small move, obviously, but Toronto, to me, shows defensively that's their kryptonite. That's a kryptonite. They can score with anybody. Defensively, they aren't great, and the goaltending isn't great either. And but Connor Duar is a defense-first forward. He kind of fits what they need. You got Lightning pick up Matt Dumba from Arizona. Something I hadn't heard in a while. Dumba's getting a little older. So Arizona sends Matt Dumba in a 25-7th for a 5th rounder in 2020. Set in a 5th round in 2027. So team doesn't give up much for Dumba. He's a little older now. He's been around a while. I guess it's just some depth at defense. Tam's gonna make sure they get in the playoffs first. They've been in that wild card role the whole season. So the Bruins bring in Andrew Peeke for some depth on their blue line. Gave up a 2027 3rd-round pick. They gave up nothing. By making this move, that was basically the only move they could really make because didn't really have a lot of capital heading into the deadline, and they used it all on Peeke. He's not a bad depth defenseman now. There was a lot of smaller moves and trade deadline, which there's usually teams are trying to bolster their depth. In the NHL, you can only have 15 guys on a roster, or you can have 20 total, but you can only dress 15. You could have 5, scratches. You have up to 20. Teams have usually have a couple open roster spots. It's kind of a lot by the deadline. Just trying to, obviously, the teams make moves to try, for team now, but also they try and make moves to improve their depth, because they have open roster spots and they have the ability to do that. They just throw away some future draft picks. Late draft picks for some depth guys. So Flyers made a weird move. They got Eric Johnson from Buffalo for a 4th-round pick. This one was a little puzzling. So Phillies, they've been up and down this year. At some points they look like a top 5 team in the East that could win a series or two. There have been times we'll literally make the playoffs. I don't know. So they're an okay team. Looks like they might sneak into the playoffs. Johnson's a good leader, locker leader, but he doesn't have much left. I don't know if he was even worth a 4th-round pick at this point. The Buffalo flips him to Philadelphia. I don't really know why the Flyers made this move, to be honest. He doesn't have a single assist all year. At least it's time to trade. That's alarming for a defenseman. I get it if you're a defensive defenseman like Ryan Langman, the Rangers is one of the better defensemen in the NHL. Look at his stats. They don't blow up the page. He probably only has a few assists, but at least he has a few. How do you defenseman not have a single assist? Come trade deadline, that's kind of crazy. Bruins continue to make some small moves. They pick up Patrick Maroon from Minnesota. They got him, and they send Luke Toporowski, I think his name is, and a conditional 6th-round pick in 2026. And I think that could become a better pick if the Bruins play a certain amount. If the Bruins play at least, if Maroon plays in one playoff game, the pick will be put. I think might be pushed back a year or something like that. Look, Maroon's not going to score. He's not going to put up a lot of points. He's there to be an enforcer. He's got a lot of playoff experience. He was in the Cup final 3 years in a row with Tampa, won twice. Might have been on the St. Louis team as well, so he's won a couple of cups, a lot of playoff experience. He's a guy that you hate playing against, but you love if he's on your team. He's not gonna score a lot of points. He'll play 10 minutes a game on the 4th line. He won't play every game, but he seems to be a pretty good locker room guy. He's a good leader, and a lot of playoff experience. Got a couple Stanley Cups. So in Arizona flips another player. They're sending Jason Zucker to Nashville. So they get Nashville gets Jason Zucker. And they get Dallas as a 6th-round pick. Nashville, no, excuse me, Arizona will get a 6th-round pick via Dallas in the trade. And to pretty good move, I think, for both sides. Zucker's a pretty good. He's a solid player. He had 9 goals, 16 assists at the time of the trade deadline. So Nashville adds to their 3rd line scoring, picking up him. And I think a 6th-round pick is fair considering Nashville is paying the rest of his $5.3 million salary this year. So that's why the return wasn't as great for Arizona. But Nashville makes that move. Rangers make another move. They had Chad Ruhwedel from Pittsburgh. He's a depth defenseman. They send a 2027 4th-round pick again, trying to bolster their depth. Obviously won't make it break anything, but Ruhwedel went to the New York Rangers. He's a guy who Rangers top 6 pretty set when all healthy, assuming Lindgren's knee's okay, which it should be. Now, obviously, Fox and Lindgren is that first pair. Second pair is K'Andre Miller and Jacob Trouba. Their last pair is Braden Schneider is on my last pair, and usually Eric Gustafsson. So Ruby will probably only play if there's an injury with Lindgren out right now. He's probably in the lineup, but otherwise he'll probably be a depth guy. Moving along, obviously there's a lot of trades. The winning is another. This is a big move. They get Tyler Toffoli from the New Jersey Devils. It's in the 2nd-round pick next year and a 3rd round this year, so a 2 and a 3. Toffoli is a really good player. Hasn't had quite the year he had last year. Last year, maybe I think he was in Montreal. He had 36 goals. Hasn't been quite as a vision this year, but he still came to Winnipeg with 26 goals. He's a really good player. He's transformed into one of the better goal scorers in the National Hockey League. Big pickup for Winnipeg Jets, who have been towards the top of the Western Conference standings all season. Of course, picked up a win against the Rangers last night, 4-2. Buffalo trades Kyle Poso to Florida. For a 7th-round pick, will become a 5th if Florida wins the Cup, which is very possible. They're already the best team in hockey. They are their favorites to win the Stanley Cup. Of course, they got there last year. The most of Vegas, they have that crazy run as an 8 seed, but this year they might just win it all. They're a very popular pick, and rightfully so. Posto's not the same player. He was with Donovan for a long time. He's been at Buffalo for a very long time. He's been their captain for quite a while. But he's still a solid bottom 6 forward, and brings a lot of leadership and some playoff experience to a Florida Panthers team that is obviously trying to win a Stanley Cup. They got there last year, and they have a very good chance to go back this year and win it this year. Evgeny Kuznetsov is sent to the Carolina Hurricanes. Washington Capitals deal him to the Hurricane. Is a 2025 3rd-round pick is the return that Washington gets. Washington will retain half of his salary. He's due $7.8 million next year, so mathematicians, help me out. I'm not even going to try to do that math. It's way too much work. That's the reason I chose to be a communications major, not a math major. But Kuznetsov a few years ago was looking like a budding star. Has had some issues the last few years, both on and off the ice. He's had some injury problems. He's been inconsistent when he's been on the ice. He's had some clashes in the locker room. But he's still a good player. No, hasn't had the best year this year. He's battled some injuries, but he's a guy who still, you know, has some prime years left. A little older, but still towards the end of his prime. We've seen in the past him be a game changer. He goes to a really good team in Carolina that picks up a guy who potentially could be a good goal scorer. Something that has kind of kept them from winning the Stanley Cup the last few years. Though it seems like it's gotten better over these last couple of years in that area. You only give a third rounder next year. You get the fresh start. You'll be paying him what? Not even $4 million. So you're paying him a fair salary next year, considering Washington's paying half his salary. He's a guy. He definitely needs the fresh start. A lot of times guys just need a fresh start, and I think this is in the case. So we'll see if what Kuznetsov can do down the stretch for Carolina, and they have him for another year next year. Hurricanes make another huge move. They get Jake Guentzel from the Pittsburgh Penguins, one of the best players in the NHL. Also get Ty Smith from the deal. Going the other way is Michael Bunting, who's a very good player, who plays both sides of the puck. They also got a couple prospects: Vio Koivunen, Vasily Pumarov, Cruz Lucius, a conditional first this year as well as a conditional fifth. That's a big move for the Carolina Hurricanes. They're going all in. They've been top 4 in Eastern Conference all year. They're a very good team. Always been great defensively. They've always had good goaltending. Rob Brind'Amour is a great coach. Did a phenomenal job there. Of course, he was a player himself. Won a cup in Carolina as a player. Done a great job as the coach. But Jake Guentzel, he is one of the best players in the NHL. Obviously, Pittsburgh going into rebuild started to move him. Before, as of 2 weeks ago, he had 22 goals, 30 assists, and 52 points. He's a phenomenal player. Big move for the Carolina Hurricanes. He also had Ty Smith, who's for some depth. Going the other way, I like Pittsburgh getting Michael Bunting. He's a good player. Played both sides of the ice. He's had a very good year. He had 13 goals, 23 assists, 36 points upon heading to Pittsburgh. He's also very, very, very tough. He's feisty. He's good defensively. Vio Koivunen, he's a Finnish player. He had 22 goals for 9 games upon coming to Pittsburgh. Pumarov was having a good year in the AHL. As was Cruz Lucius. But so big move for the Hurricanes was definitely worth every penny, and I do like the return now for the Penguins. They got a good young player in Bunting. They got a couple of good prospects. They got what should be a first-round pick, and then another pick as well. They got the most that they possibly could have. Anthony Duclair goes to Tampa. San Jose signed up to Tampa. They get a third-round pick in return. I remember Duclair when he came up with the Rangers. He's become a solid player. Not the player I thought he was going to be. When the Rangers traded him for Keith Yandel a bunch of years ago, I thought this guy's going to be a star. Hasn't quite worked out that way. He had 16 goals upon coming to going over to the Lightning, but he's a solid second or third line player. San Jose sends him off to the Tampa Bay Lightning. They get a third rounder pick, and then they also get Jack Thompson, the prospect, in the return for him. We had Colorado makes a move for Yakov Trenin, who's a physical defenseman. And they get him as well as defenseman Graham Sword. They send defenseman Jeremy Hansel on a third-round pick in 2025. Goes the other way to Nashville. Nashville just wasn't getting a ton of time in Nashville. He's already there to add toughness for what he brings. He does have 10 goals this year though. So he's a very good two-way player. So I like that move for the Colorado Avalanche. They also get Sword in the deal. He's had a really good year in the WHL, 15 goals, 58 assists upon his arrival. He's been very good in WHL this year as well. So so Nashville picks up. They kind of swap, WHL player Sword, the better of the two for sure. Trent goes to Colorado, and then Nashville also gets the 1 draft pick. All right, and Colorado continues to add to their team. They bring in Brandon Duhaney from Minnesota. They send the third round pick in 2026. Duhaney he's a big guy. You can tell Colorado's trying to get a little bit bigger and a little bit tougher. Something that definitely matters in the playoffs. Picking up Yakov Trenin and now going after Duhaney. You know, he's really there to be on the. He's a fourth line guy. You know, he's there for his size. Carl picks him up. Oilers, you know, add to their defense, picking up Troy Stetcher. He's a depth defender. They pick him up from Arizona. They send the fourth round pick in 2027. And then they also got a separate pick themselves this year, which is from Boston. So Stetcher, this is another depth move. Then he'll only play probably if there's an injury. But Edmonton adds to their depth. We had a small one. That was a prospect swap between Montreal and Anaheim. They traded prospects. Jan Mysak goes to Anaheim. Jacob Peralt goes the other way to Montreal. You had Toronto made a really weird move picking up Joel Edmondson from Washington. They sent a third round pick via the Islanders and a fifth round pick next year via the Blackhawks. I don't understand this at all. I don't get it. Edmondson is washed. He's a pine cone defensively. You just skate right around him. Doesn't even offer you much offense. Doesn't really have much left. I don't understand this at all. It's one thing if it was just like, all right, get him some depth. You give him a fifth rounder next year, but for a third this year and a five next year on the NHL draft isn't, you know, you may not you're not going to start in those rounds, but like a 3 and a 5 for Joel Edmondson, I don't know. Thankfully, Washington's retaining half his salary, but don't know why. So Toronto's got this god-awful defense, and then that's the solution. Joel Edmondson? Okay, buddy. Maybe 6 years ago. Anthony Beauvillier was moved to Nashville. Chicago sends him over to Nashville for a fifth-round pick this year. He's a guy who came up with the Islanders. Looked like he was going to be a really good player. Never really turned out. The Islanders sent him to, I believe they sent him, to Vancouver in the Bo Horvat trade, and then he made his way Chicago. He hasn't really done anything this year. He's been a kind of a bust as a young talent, but gives Nashville some forward depth if nothing else. And Vegas makes another big move. This is right before we're done picking up Noah Hannafin. They get Noah Hannafin, the 3-team trade involving Philly. So Calgary, of course, is out of the race. They said Noah Hannafin. They're retaining 75% of his salary this year because he's going to be a pending free agent. Will be one of the top free agents on the market this year. Calgary gets a conditional first this year. They got Daniil Miramonov, who's a good prospect, and a conditional third-round pick as well. Flyers get a fifth-round pick this year. These are the conditions. If the first-rounder will be if Vegas trades that first-round pick before next 2025 draft, which of course they love to do, so it's possible. That first round will be pushed to 2026. Simple as that. And if Vegas wins a playoff series, there will be a second. So there's a good chance it'll be a first round of your 25 or 26 and then a second round pick. So they give up a lot. Vegas gives up a lot, but look, Vegas does this all the time. They've mortgaged the farm. They've been a team for 7 years. They've mortgaged the farm since they became a team. Hell, in the expansion draft, they took a bunch of them. They took guys like Marc-Andre Fleury and Riley Smith and guys like that. But it works. Every year, besides that 1 year they had all those injuries, every year, you know, they're in the playoff. Every year they are a cup contender. You know, they won the cup last year. Every year they're in the cup conversation. Hannafin's a great player. One of the best defensemen in the league. You know, one of the best offensive defensemen in hockey. Big move for Vegas. They pick up Noah Hannafin and Thomas Hertl. You have a lot of draft picks in return, but you know, you gotta give up something to get something. And Vegas is showing people we want our second choice Stanley Cup. Could you imagine, like, if they have 2 cups in their first 7 years of a team? You got teams like the Maple Leafs that haven't won in like 60 years or something. They're probably even longer than that. What was it, 1948 or something like that? They have won like 75, 80 years. They can't get out of the first round. And Vegas, 7 years in, has 2 cups. That'd be crazy. So Buffalo made a pretty crazy trade. It was a 1-for-1 swap. Buffalo trades their leading scorer Casey Middlestat to Colorado, and in return Bowen Byram goes to Buffalo. This is, I think, a perfect example of a win-win trade. Middlestat is a really good young player, very good, talented goal scorer. Had 14 goals, 33 points upon heading to the Colorado Avalanche, and Bowen Byram is a good player as well. He he's kind of gotten lost because of how good Colorado defensemen are. They have just so many lower defensive course led by Kale Macker, who might be the best defenseman in all of hockey. So he just kind of got lost in the sauce. He's still really young. He's got a chance to be a star. Buffalo has another potential building block. You got two really young defensemen there now with him and Owen Power from a first pick from the draft. And Colorado adds another really good goal scorer in Middlestaff they give up a really good young defenseman, but they have plenty of talented defensemen already. They can kind of help them. They can swallow his loss, especially when you pick up Casey Middlestaff in the move. And then they move swiftly to replace him, and then picking up Sean Walker from Philadelphia. That was a move that they made in exchange. It was a conditional first-round pick, and then Ryan Johansson goes to Philadelphia. Look, Johansson's not he's still a decent player, still a decent third-line player, but it's towards the end. But yeah, Sean Walker is Colorado Avalanche. This was a little weird move for the Flyers, I thought, because they're a team that should sneak into the playoffs. You have Sean Walker as a decent defenseman for aging player in Johansson, but who's still a decent third-line player, and then a pick. I don't know. I thought that was kind of weird. But they pick up a first-round pick next year for Sean Walker, which is pretty good. Rangers bring in Alex Wenberg from Seattle. I know this was a good move. It's a second-round pick this year and a conditional fourth next year via Dallas. Seattle will pay half his salary. The fourth becomes a third round of Niles Lundqvist, gets a 55 point between this season and last season. That's what's going to happen. He'll be in the AHL, so it'll be a second-round pick and fourth next year. I like his move for the Rangers. He's a solid third-line center. Something third-line center was the biggest need the Rangers had, and they filled that with Alex Wenberg. He's had a pretty good year. He had 9 goals, 16 assists upon coming to the Rangers. Definitely fills a need. A 2 and a 4. You could argue they should have given up a little less, but the Rangers are in win now mode. This might be their best chance to win the Stanley Cup. They've gotten close last. Look, they haven't won a cup since 1994. It's been a very long time. They've not won a cup in 30 years. They've gotten close recently. For the better part of the last 15 years, they've been a legit contender. They had like the 3 or 4 years where they were in rebuild, so they didn't make the playoffs. They've gotten close. 2 years ago, they were in the conference finals. We're up 2-0 on Tampa, and they let slip through their fingers. Last year, obviously, major disappointment losing to the Devils in the first round. They've gotten close. They lost in the Cup final in 2014. They were in the conference finals a couple of times, in the last 10 years. But this might be their best shot. They've been at the top of the league pretty much the whole year. In the top 5 the whole year. They got a shot to win, and they're going for it, which I totally agree with. And Edmonton made another move. They got Adam Henrik and Sam Carrick from Anaheim. In return, they send a 7th-round pick this year and the rights to a goalie, Ty Taylor. I like them a lot for Edmonton. They pick up a solid center, and Adam Henrik, who's a little bit older but still a good player. 18 goals, 24 assists. Upon the time of the trade, he's still a solid second-line center. And Carrick, he's also a decent 4th liner. So Edmonton makes a nice move there. Moving on, not too much left. Vladimir Tarasenko to Florida. So Tarasenko Ottawa sends him to, they get a 4th-round pick this year, but will become a 3rd in 26 if Panthers win the whole thing, a 3rd round in 2025. Ottawa retains half his salary. Like this move a lot for the Florida Panthers, who of course are in win now mode. They're already, like I said, already the Cup favorites. Look, Tarasenko, he's a little bit older. But, he still had, at the time of trade, 17 goals, 24 assists. He's still a very solid top 6 forward. Now, obviously, he was with the Blues for a long time, finished last year with the Rangers. Ottawa picked him up in the offseason, and now, with them, this year kind of blowing up in their face, they sent him, to the Florida Panthers. So, nice pickup for the Panthers, who only had to pay half the salary. In Vegas, they had some money to play up, so they pick up Anthony Mantha from the Capitals, and they give up a 2nd round this year and a 4th 2026. Like this move a lot. Mantha's a very good player. He had 20 goals at the time of the trade. And another goal scorer to Vegas picks up. Vegas came with Thomas Hertl, Anthony Mantha, and Noah Hanifin. That is just absolutely crazy. that's the NHL trade deadline. Moving on, a couple small things for hockey. This is about a week and a half ago. Flyers extended defenseman Nick Seeler, 4 years, $10.8 million. He's had a pretty good year. He's a solid defenseman for the Philadelphia Flyers. And also, Gustav Forsling extended by Florida, 8 years, $46 million. He's emerged as one of the best young D-men in hockey. He's had a great season. So Florida locks him up. And for free agency, Leighton Vander announced his retirement. This one's a little sad. He was the guy, first round pick. His rookie year was great. So many back and neck injuries. He said that his body just isn't responding. He had to retire. I'm a little sad, but shout out to him. Saints signed Chase Young, 1 year, $13 million. Look, this guy was a stud coming out of Ohio State, second pick by Washington. Never really turned to the point we thought he was going to be. Had a great year. His rookie year was defensive rookie of the year. Ton of injuries, cost him a lot of time. Now, this past year, he played pretty well in Washington. They traded him at the trading line, but struggled in San Francisco. Didn't do a whole lot. There was rumors that we're going to bench him. The Super Bowl didn't end up happening. But he's still young. No pun intended. He's still probably only 25, 26 years old. Still really young. He's got a lot of potential. He's flashed it. To me, he's basically a bust. He has this year. He's got to go out there and have probably at least 10 sacks here, or also probably a bust. I'd like to move for the Saints. A 1 year deal, $13 million. It gives Cam Jordan a partner in Aerosol. He's getting a little bit older. Seems older. How they can get there, very, 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 very mediocre. But Chase Young goes to the Saints. Alexander Madison goes to the Raiders for a year. I don't think he's not that great. He's not a bad number 2 back. He's a fine number 2 running back. He's not a number 1. Vikings made him number 1. They lost Dalvin Cook. We're kind of have to scramble. There's 700 yards, 3.9 yards a carry. It's what it is. Obviously the Raiders lost Josh Jacobs in free agency. So apparently they're going to make Zamir White the running back 1. Though I do like Zamir White. When Jacobs was out this year, he played well. I've always liked him since he was drafted in the 4th round a couple of years ago. I heard they might draft somebody, and now they had that mask into that backfield. 49ers bring in Josh Dobbs. Of course, he had his little Cinderella run with the Vikings for a few games. Now, he's a good backup. He's not a starter, but if you need to step in, he can be serviceable. Jets make a big move signing Mike Williams, 1 year, $50 million. I think this is a good move. Look, he's very injury prone. He's getting older. He's about 30 years old or so. He's always hurt. He missed pretty much the whole year this year, but when healthy is a great player. I don't think he's still going to be that guy that's going to give you 1,000 yards and 12 touchdowns, but I still think he's a really good, solid number 2 receiver. It's only for a year, so if he has an injury-plagued season, it's not the end of the world. But Mike Williams to the Jets. I also, on paper, Jordan has done a good job this offseason. He has. I'll give him that. Now, he's added a potential all-pro left tackle in Tyron Smith, John Simpson, and Morgan Moses to the offensive line. I did Mike Williams. Now you can go any way you want in the draft. The defense is already set. You can maybe take Brock Bauer, a stud tight end out of Georgia. He's a top 5 player in this class. There was a lot of rumors he was going 5th to the Chargers. Now that they got rid of both their top receivers, maybe the pick might be Malik Neighbors now. So Bowers might fall to 10. Maybe you still go off the tackle. I mean, maybe, be the heir apparent to Tyron Smith, left tackle next year. And, Morgan Moses is getting a little bit older as well. Maybe you trade back, try and get your 2nd round pick back, and you can still get a good player in the 1st round, maybe. So there's a lot, which is something that's not being talked about, is because, they just only signed this guy yesterday. But I don't mind doing that at all. If I had to guess, just probably doing their best acting job, will probably let me down again. I'm sure they're going to suck me in, and they're going to suck me in and spit me out again, but a guy can dream, can he? I like the move, Hopefully they can make the playoffs, please. Can we just make the playoffs once? One time. Once. They don't even need to win a playoff game. They need to make playoffs one time. One time. Okay, once. All I'm asking for. Bengals signed Trent Brown to a 1-year deal. I like this move. He's a little bit older, but he's 31, but he's still a solid left tackle. He had a good year last year in New England. and he goes to Cincinnati. They need all the O-line help they can get. They already have a Wendell Brown now, so he'll probably be on the right side. Feels a major need for the Bengals. They had Trent Brown. Brown extend Jerry Jeudy 3 years, $58 million, $4 million guaranteed. I don't know who this guy's agent is, but he might be. Is he also Kirk Cousins' agent? Because, wow, how did he swing that deal? This is a major overpay to me. $19.5 million for Jerry Jeudy? What? Look, I like his fit in Cleveland. I don't think he's the guy. I don't think he'll ever be the guy we thought he was going to be, but he thinks he's a solid secondary receiver. He doesn't have the greatest hands, though. The route running ability we saw at Alabama hasn't quite translated the whole way to the NFL. But a 2 or a 3 in Cleveland, I like him. The whole problem is the quarterbacks he's had in Denver. Deshaun Watson looked horrible before getting hurt last year, so I don't know how much that difference it'll make, but I like them trading for him, especially when they didn't give up much, but giving him $58 million and $41 guaranteed is a little bit egregious. On to NBA, we have some injuries. Evan Mobley, he's hurt with a sprained ankle. Cleveland's had a lot of injuries this year, and now Donovan Mitchell is out a week with he had surgery on his nose, so hopefully he gets back soon. Cleveland, they're a great team. They just got to stay healthy. They battled injuries all year. They've still been a top team. Ben Simmons is out for the year with a nerve issue in his back. This guy needs to be arrested for freaking highway robbery. This guy has made over $100 million over the last 3 years. He's played a total of like 50-something games. It's just pathetic. The guy is pathetic. He's a pathetic NBA player. I expect the Nets to buy him out after the year, and his career is over. His basketball career is over, at least in the NBA. Maybe he'll get a job overseas somewhere, but I do not see how an NBA team picks him up. You're going to get him for 30 games. He's going to cause drama. Gives you nothing offensively. Not a damn thing offensively. He can defend, but for 30 games, he's going to have to take the league minimum to maybe play 10 minutes a game as like a defender, an extra defender on the bench. And like you can get that, for like, the same price, and for a guy who brings a lot less baggage and is going to play, 70, 80 games opposed to 30. I don't know how someone will sign him next year. He's out for the year. Now, Carl Town has a torn meniscus. He's out indefinitely. I heard he's out about a month. He'll be reevaluated. So looks like they're hoping to get him back before the end of the regular season. By the way, Joel Embiid, of course, had that knee surgery. He returned to practice a few days ago. Now, I think he's trying to come back within the next few weeks. No, he said he would like to come back before the end of the regular season. But he did return to practice. It's Baker Philly because they're going to need to want to do anything in the playoffs. I'm sure they will lose him. Still probably lose him in the second round. They might even lose him in the first round, to be honest. Alfred Sengun about a week or two ago had that bit of a scary injury. It was not as bad as it could have been. He's got a severe ankle sprain and a bone bruise in his knee. Sounds not so great, but looked a lot worse. So hopefully he's okay. He's had a great year. He kind of gives me Pau Gasol vibe. He's going to be a great player. And Sadiq Bey's out for the year for torn ACL. Of course, Atlanta's already missing Trae Young. Their season might be over. The next team out beside them is Brooklyn, and Brooklyn is awful. Actually, no, it might even be Toronto at this point. So maybe I might hang on to a playing spot because Brooklyn and Toronto suck. They're going through, and Brooklyn is just a horrible basketball team. The Orlando Magic extend Jamal Mosley, their head coach, for 4 years. He's done a very good job there, completely turned that franchise around, so kudos to him. San Francisco signed Kai Jones to a 10-day deal. He was in Charlotte, and he's not very good. They let him go. He made some weird social media comments. He was saying like how he can beat LeBron one-on-one. He made some weird social media comments. Nothing bad. It was just kind of weird. Then looked like maybe there was something going on in his life. They let him go, but Sixers picked him up on a 10-day deal. Suns signed Isaiah Thomas to a 10-day deal. Yes, the guy who averaged 30 points a game for the Celtics like 6 years ago. He's been trying to get back in the NBA. Shame that hip injury really ended his career, but Suns probably on a 10-day deal. Cool, I guess. On to baseball. Blake Snell has a team. The San Francisco Giants signed Blake Snell, 2 years, $62 million. Snell last year was the Cy Young of the National League. 32 starts, 14-9, 2.25 ERA, 234 strikeouts, in 108 innings, 1.18 whip. He's a great pitcher. He's won two Cy Youngs in the last 5 years. One of the best pitchers in baseball. And the Giants, they had a big free agency this year. They got Jung Ho Lee from overseas, play center field and hit leadoff. Obviously, Matt Chapman, they got on another guy who wanted a big deal, didn't get what he wanted. He's a great third baseman. Can hit 30 bombs and will win a Gold Glove. Giants could easily be a playoff team. They get Blake Snell to anchor their rotation. Boston Red Sox extend Brian Bello, 6 years, $55 million with $21 million club option. He was their best starter last year. 20 starts was 12-11 for 4.24, 157 innings, had 132 strikeouts. He's got potential to be pretty good. Look, that rotation to me is horrible, especially with Lucas Giolito having elbow surgery, might miss the entire season. He just gave him $37 million, which is a shame, but Brian Bell should step up and they lock him down. Garrett Cole's going to miss 1 to 2 months for the Yankees. This is a big deal. The Yankees rotation, to me, is shaky after him. You don't know what you're getting out of Carlos Rodon. A couple of years ago, he was an all-star and one of the top 10 pitchers in the baseball, but he's always hurt. Had a horrific year last year. Of course, missed a lot of time of injured. Was awful when he was healthy. Marcus Stroman was the first guy I've ever heard of to turn down an opening day start. I didn't know that was a thing that guys did. Because, it wasn't. He's a fine 2 or 3. Also a horrible clubhouse guy. Has a large mouth. Inconsistent. The rest of rotations, like Cortez, 2 years ago was great. Was emerging as an ace, but last year didn't have a great year. Balanced some injuries. Clark Schmidt, I think, could be I don't know if I see him as a potential breakout candidate, to be honest, but right now he's just an okay pitcher. And for Cole, looks like he won't have to have Tommy John, but if he does have to have, he needs to have it now. So otherwise, if he waits, he'll have to miss next year as well. And with inflammation, you can't throw until that goes away. And that's something one day you'll feel fine, next day you'll be like, my arm is killing me. So that's a tough situation. But I think he'll be out to at least June. So it's a tough loss for the Yankees. The reigning Cy Young winner in the American League, who of course had an incredible year last year. 33 starts, 15-4, 2.63 ERA, 224 strikeouts against 48 walks, and 209 only a .98 whip. He's an absolute stud. He has been for quite a few years. He's on a Hall of Fame trajectory right now. And he's out until probably at least June. Toronto signs Joey Vaughn to a minor league deal. Very happy that Joey Vaughn will still be in the MLB. Of course, he returns home. He's from Toronto. Not the same player. Only hit 202 last year, but did 14 home runs, 747 OPS. He's a better left-handed platoon DH first base than Dan Vogelbach in Toronto, so Toronto picks him up. But the Dodgers are moving Mookie Betts to shortstop. I know he played, obviously always been a right fielder, but he played a little bit of second last year. Looked like he was going to be over there, but now I think represented for now. He'll be their starting shortstop. San Diego parted in a big trade, picking up Dylan Cease from the White Sox. They got 3 prospect Drew Thorpe, who's an outfielder, who's their 5th best prospect. They got him in the solo trade. Another outfielder in Samuel Zavala, and then pitcher Jairo Inciarte. So 3 top 8 prospects in their system. For Cease, who didn't have his best year last year, but bunches for 2 or 3 years straight. He's one of the best pitchers in all of baseball. Kind of makes up for the loss of Blake Snell. So big move for the Padres. Devin Williams, the Brewers all-star, closing to miss 3 months with a back thrust fracture. That's a tough break. So the college basketball released the AP All-American teams. On the first team of Zach Edey from Purdue. There was 24 points, 11 boards, 2 blocks this year. Of course, he might win Player of the Year for the 2nd year in a row. Dalton Nett from Tennessee. Now, he averaged 21 points, 4 boards, and 1 assist. R.J. Davis from North Carolina this year averaged 21 points, 3 rebounds, and 3 assists. You had Jamal Sheed from Houston, averaged 13 points, 3 rebounds, and 6 assists. And then you had Tristan Newton from UConn, averaged 15 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists. Then for the second team, Tyler Kolek from Marquette, very good player. He averaged 15 points, 4 boards, 7 assists. You had Deron Holmes, the second from Dayton, averaged 20 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists. Mark Sears from Alabama averaged 21 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. Kyle Flipkowski from Duke averaged 17 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists. And Hunter Dickinson from Kansas, of course, he transferred to Kansas from Michigan this year. He averaged 18 points, 10 almost 11 rebounds, shot 55 from the field. I like this kid a lot. I've been saying this for a couple of years now. He reminds me of Nikola Vucevic, who now plays for the Chicago Bulls. On the third team, you have Jaden Ledee from San Diego State, averaged 21 points, 8 rebounds, shot 55% from the field. Johnny Broom from Auburn averaged 18 points, 8 rebounds, and 2 assists. Caleb Love, of course, transferred from UNC to Arizona this year. He averaged 16 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists. 18, 4, and 3. I was looking at the wrong guy. And then Baylor, Sherryman from Creighton averaged 18 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists. And Terrence Shannon Jr. from Illinois averaged 23 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists. Those are All-American teams. We had some coaching changes in college basketball. Louisville fires Kenny Payne. Thank the Lord. He was 12 and 52 in 2 years. Wow. That's almost hard to do. Louisville basketball needs a complete reset. They have done nothing since the whole stuff with Rick Pitino happened. Then you have Vanderbilt fired Jerry Stackhouse after 5 seasons. Of course, he played in the NBA at one point. They brought him in. They thought, he was an NBA player. He was a G League coach, but didn't really work out. 70 and 92, 28 and 60 in the SEC. Was 9-23 this year. Terrible. Michigan fires Shawan Harrow after 5 seasons. Of course, a Michigan legend was part of the member of the Fab Five. Started promising, but after that went very downhill. They were horrible this year. Just 8 and 24. Of course, he's had some anger issues. The whole thing he got in the fight with that one coach when he was one that was full court pressing, getting blown out in the game. It was 82 and 67 overall. He gets let go. Utah State's woman coach, Kayla Ard, she goes up to the presser about a week ago and was like, they asked her about her expectations for next year because they didn't do well this year, and he goes, oh yeah, I've coached my last game there. So they fired him for the presser. And now that I hear that, that makes me really wonder why Brandon Staley wasn't fired in the NFL before his presser. Just saying. But staying on point, Ohio State is promoting Jake Diebler, who is their interim head coach. They've played much better under him. The full-time head coach. Duquesne coach Keith Dambrot is retiring. He was actually LeBron James' high school coach. He's been doing this a long time. Duquesne, they made the tournament here as an 11 seed. He will retire after the season. And the college football playoff reached a new deal with ESPN for 6 years worth $1.3 billion per year. All right, that's all I got for you guys today. Until next time, so long, and have a great day.